Imagine someone tries to murder you because you decide to change countries only days before the World Cup. That actually happened, and I'm pretty sure you'll be shocked to learn that this wasn't some third league player from Scotland, but actually one of the most famous football players in the world. Before we get onto him though, we have to talk about the GOAT, Lionel Messi. We all know lots of players decide to play for the country they live in, and not their native country. And sure, sometimes it's the right choice for their career, but for Leo, this was a terrible mistake. One thing Messi haters love to bring up is the fact his international career has been a major disappointment compared to his club career. But did you know Messi could have won the World Cup back in 2010? All he had to do was choose. And I know what you're saying. Spain won the World Cup in 2010. How could Messi have won? Well, Messi was born in Argentina, but his great-grandfather was actually born in Spain. And as a teenager, Messi moved to Spain with his entire family to play for Barcelona. And as soon as he got there, everyone was in awe of his talent. One of these men was Barcelona's football director, Carles Rexach. Carles saw Messi's talent very early on and knew that he would be a great addition to the Spanish national team. He even tried to lobby for the Spanish Football Federation to let Messi play for Spain, a decision they would gladly make. But Messi said "Yo siento" to Spain and decided to play for Argentina. Honestly, his reasoning made sense at the time. He wanted to follow in the footsteps of the Argentinian legend Diego Maradona. Who wouldn't want to be like the man with the hand of God? Spain tried their best to convince Messi to stay, but he had already made up his mind. A few years down the line, this looks like one of the biggest misses of Messi's career, aside from that penalty for Argentina. If he had played for Spain, he would have checked the World Cup off his trophy list by now, and I'm sure there are still a lot of Spaniards who feel betrayed by him. It's always a hard choice, and Paul Pogba made the exact same choice, but got the opposite result. Paul Pogba became one of the world's biggest players back in 2016 when he moved to Man United for a whopping $89 million. He was actually the most expensive player at that time. But what many don't know is that Pogba could have played for his home country, Guinea, where his dad is from. To make things a little more complicated, Pogba has two brothers who actually played for Guinea. I wonder what the conversation at the dinner table was like when Pogba announced he'd be playing for France instead. Paul was born in France, so he most likely felt more connected to it than Guinea. Also, as one of the biggest players in the world, the France national team is just a better opportunity for him. And in 2018, this decision definitely paid off, as he played a major role in France's victory at the World Cup. Just like Pogba, Mesut Ozil decided to choose a different path from his brothers. He grew up very poor in Germany. He was the last child of four and was born at a time when the situation for migrants in Germany was absolutely dreadful. Mesut and his brothers would always play football, and while his brothers played for fun, little Mesut took it extremely seriously. His parents were actually Turkish, so he was given the opportunity to play for Turkey, but he defied his brothers and decided to join the Mannschaft. And that decision paid off perfectly. He obviously went on to win the World Cup with Germany in 2014 and became one of Germany's most iconic midfielders. Would he have gotten those same achievements with Turkey? Maybe not, but who knows? It seems to be a trend that football families have one who decides to play for a different country to the rest. Another one is Mr. Jerome Boateng. Boateng is one of the most successful centre-backs in the world. He has won it all. The World Cup, the Champions League, and no less than 9 Bundesliga titles. But Jerome could have played for Ghana, just like his half-brother, Kevin Prince Boateng. You won't believe how the brothers made up their minds on which country they'd play for. It's just silly. They tossed a coin, and the results of the coin toss would determine what country they would eventually play for. I must say, I'm not so sure about the source of this story, but it's definitely the most interesting one, so I'm sticking with it. Boateng, just like Ozil, won the World Cup in 2014. It's a shame all these world-class players end up playing for these countries that are already on the big stage. I think Ghana would have benefited greatly from Jerome Boateng's defensive skills. And Ghana definitely isn't the only African country to lose a great player because of this. Nigeria lost one of the greatest centre-backs in the world, David Alaba, when he decided to play for Austria instead. I think most of you know David Alaba is Nigerian, but if you didn't, try saying the name David Olutokunbo Alaba. Should roll off your tongue quite easily. Not only is Alaba Nigerian, but his father is also a Nigerian prince. Hold up, not that kind of Nigerian prince. Real Nigerian princes don't need your money. George Alaba is a real Nigerian prince who moved to Vienna to study economics. He was also a musician who was at the top of the Austrian music charts a couple of times. He met and married Gina Alaba, who is from the Philippines, and they gave birth to little David Alaba. This means he also had the choice to play for the Philippines. But Alaba chose to play for the country where he was born, and he's now captain of the Austrian national team. David Alaba's dad paved the way for him to play for Austria. Raheem Sterling's dad tried to do the same, but unfortunately passed away before he could. Many people don't know this, but Raheem Sterling was actually born in Jamaica. He lived his earliest years over there till the age of 5, when his mum moved him out of Jamaica to London because of an unfortunate tragedy that shook the Sterling family. When Raheem was only 2 years old, he lost his dad to gang violence. What a tragedy, man. His mum didn't want little Raheem to end up like his father, so they flew overseas in hopes of finding a better life. England is where Sterling honed his football talent. He became a worldwide superstar and chose to play for the English national team instead of Jamaica, as he never really felt a connection with the country. But we do know where he gets his blistering speed from. Another lightning-fast player who decided to choose a European country instead of his native one is none other than Mr. Kylian Mbappé. Mbappé is undoubtedly the biggest French player right now. Well, maybe with Benzema, but he wasn't very present in international football these last few years. Mbappé, on the other hand, helped France to win the 2018 World Cup and even broke a record that was once held by the legend Pelé himself. But it would probably shock you to know that Kylian could have been playing for Cameroon instead. I'm sure Samuel Eto'o would have loved another lethal striker just like him playing for the country. Kylian Mbappe's father is from Cameroon and his mother is from Algeria, so he could have been on the Algerian national team as well, to be fair. But he decided to play for France instead. The blood flowing through his veins may come from 2 other countries, but his spirit will always belong to France. Just like Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is such a big name in Sweden that it's hard to imagine he isn't Swedish by blood. Zlatan is probably the most famous person from Sweden, but did you know he could have actually played for Bosnia? He could also have joined Luka Modric in Croatia to dominate the 2018 World Cup. Who knows, maybe France wouldn't have won. Even though Zlatan was born in Sweden, his father is from Bosnia and his mother is from Croatia. And sure, we all see Zlatan as a pure Swedish man, but his Croatian heritage isn't lost on him. He even congratulated his Croatian brother Luka Modric after a sensational World Cup performance, and of course for winning the Ballon d'Or that same year. Now, remember the world-renowned player I mentioned in the beginning who almost got killed for choosing to play for another country? His name is Diego Costa. Let's go back to 2013 when Diego Costa was representing Brazil. But then only a few weeks later, we saw him running around the field again, this time in a Spanish jersey. What the hell happened over there? Well, actually, Diego had made up his mind long ago and was waiting for Spain to offer him citizenship. He jumped on the opportunity and said bye-bye to his native country of Brazil. And the Brazilians were furious. But why were they this angry? This happens all the time. Why was Diego Costa so special? Well, it's largely to do with how and when Costa made the switch. You see, he decided to play for Spain on the evening before the World Cup of 2014. The fans felt like he had stabbed them in the back. He used the Brazilian team to build his international recognition and then switched to Spain at the very last moment before the biggest tournament in the world. It got so bad that people were shouting for his Brazilian passport to be taken from him, and some extremists even sent him death threats. I'm pretty sure it isn't safe for him to ever return to the streets of Brazil, even if I'm sure he'd love to enjoy a Brazilian carnival once in a while.